Council, and thank you for joining. I'd like to begin by acknowledging with gratitude that we live and work on the traditional unceded territory of the Squamish, whose people have been stewards of these lands and waters surrounding Nicolet-Lohem. Council, I'll draw your attention to the agenda today. First item is 2.1, introduction of any late items. I'll look to our corporate officer for the introduction of any late items here today.
There are no late items.
Okay. With that, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda 6.1, the move to a closed meeting, that we add section C, I believe, to the
Yes,
motion.
subsection C, yes.
Section C.
I would like to second that.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously, and then I'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Getty, seconded by Councillor Fast. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. Moving on to public comments, I'll look to our corporate officer for any public comments here today.
There are no public
No
comments.
public comments. And then moving straight into delegations, 4.1. Jamie Nesbitt, Sharon Thera, and Jamie Schaefer regarding, or from the Hearth regarding the annual report to council. Welcome, Hearth. Thank you for being here today. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Great. Do you want to start with next slide, please?
The Arts on Bowen has been operating on the island since the mid-80s, when a group or a collective of artists got together to start doing the work that they do that has landed us here today. And so we acknowledge that we've been on Nicolet-Lohem for some time, and we are grateful to be in this space and to be able to create art in this beautiful space that we call Bowen Island.
Is it possible to see our slideshow up on the screen?
I'm just struggling here
No problem.
for a moment.
All of these
Sorry.
screens are new too, so
Oh, really?
stand by while we
No problem at all.
figure things out.
Sorry, I'm just, something's happened to the file itself. There we are.
Okay.
All right, all set.
Thank you. Move to the next slide, please.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read all the quotes that we've been gathering for this presentation. There's numerous of them, but you're welcome to read them. There's some really great quotes that we've been gathering from various people in the community as we created this presentation for you folks today. But feel free to read them. I think there's some really good ones. Next slide, please. Thank you. Quick introduction. My name is Jamie Nesbitt. I am the chair of Arts on Bowen.
Sharon Thera, I've been with the organization now for about 2 years.
And I'm Jamie Schaefer. I'm the executive director for Arts on Bowen.
Great. Next slide, please.
Just a quick note about our process. We had a big discussion about whether we would present in blocks of slides or jump back and forth. And we realized that with the after lunch timing of this meeting, that we might want to keep you entertained by rotating amongst us. So we're happy to hear how it works.
Sure. It's keeping us on our toes. So now it's my turn. And so here's our agenda for today. I want to do an introduction, which we've just done, a year in review, budget, and planning of the next steps. The next slide, please.
Who we are. The Arts on Bowen is a nonprofit charitable arts organization. We support art and artists in all forms. We champion emerging and mid-career local artists in all disciplines, encourage interdisciplinary practices in visual, literary, and performance, youth mentorship pipelines, collaborations with schools, cultural groups, and community organizations, deepen the relationship with the municipality, and maintain consistent communications and collaboration with staff, council, and committees. We tell our story in more enticing ways to reach a broader audience. A fully activated Bowen Theatre where audiences grow steadily, artists feel supported by professional systems, and our community feels the theater is their own cultural living room. Where we bring arts to the people and people to the arts, a place where arts and culture are not only appreciated, but celebrated and expected. We also work with 4 venues, the Hearth Gallery, the Bowen Theatre, Spuckwa Stage, and the new Hearth Gallery at the Community Center here. And included in these 4 venues is communications.
So I've added communications as an additional venue. It's not something that you would traditionally think of as a physical space. But as we move into a digital era, we are all aware, you're aware, look at your new array here, that information and the way that we convey what we do is another venue that requires some concerted effort. And so we're theorizing communications at this space as an additional venue that we need to be developing and working within.
Next slide, please.
So we just wanted to share a little bit about the organizational structure that we function under. We don't need to say a whole lot about this, but one of the things that's happened over the last couple of years as we've gained the theater programming, a lot of the active development work that we've been doing is shifting the way that the organization is moving. We've got the theater in place, and so we're moving into more programming activities now. And one of the things that occurred to us as we were doing the org structure is that perhaps intuitively, if we have a programmer for the theater, we might need a programmer for the art gallery. And so we're starting to think about the future and how we want to plan the future of this organization. So that dotted box, which says curator with a question mark, is something that we're thinking about into the future. This may not happen for some time. It may never happen, but it just makes sense based on the new structure that we're thinking about developing.
Just a side note, that curation with our PAC performance committee is a huge aspect of what they do. So we are already doing that, not just only in the gallery, but we are doing that here as well. It's part of we as an organization have an incredible group of artists or people that have worked in the arts, and so we're using that resource when it comes to curation within the theater. So we wanted to identify that moving forward, that we are doing that work currently as well, not only in the gallery, which is ongoing. Great, we can move forward to the next slide, please. So governance, we have a volunteer board led by myself, and we have Sherry Ulrich, Paul Valley, who's our treasurer, Simon Hatfield, who's heading up our fundraising, Gail Lodenberg, who is head of the Performing Arts Committee, Lois Belloc, who is our HR committee, Cam Stevens, Sharon Thera is our co-chair, and also new board member Tim Wake. We've also been engaging with some volunteer consultants, Gladys, who's our communication agency, who have been, which we'll talk about later, who've been rebranding, helping rebranding our organization and creating a new visual identity. We've also been working with Chris Corrigan with some strategic plan activities, which has been really informing our strategic plan that we are currently engaging in, have been engaging in over the last year. Hearth Arts on Bowen provides governance as well as administrative, as well as program and event support for arts events on. Go to the next slide, please.
Operations. With 1 full-time employee and 2 10-hour per week staff, we run an efficient operation managing several venues and initiatives. We also have over 25 gallery hosts who represent Arts on Bowen in the gallery 12 months of the year. Included in this impressive list of volunteers from Bowen are the ticket takers, concession, gatekeepers, ushers for the Bowen Theatre. And then there's the incredible Hearth Board of Directors who work tirelessly for the organization and our community, making up 6 committees that represent performing arts, visual arts, HR, EDI, community building, and fundraising.
Slide, please.
So we'd like to share a little bit about the different spaces that we work in. We won't say a lot about this because you're aware of them, but I will draw your attention to the red colored boxes. One of the things that we've noted that we need to do is be aware of who our audiences are for the work that we are putting forward. And so you'll see that all of the spaces that we work with, we self-curate. We take on the programming, we do all of the work that's involved with those spaces, with the exception of the theater, of course. And you might be a little bit aware of how that's run. So we don't need to go into that. Our strategic planning process has outlined that we need to be aware of who our audiences are and what their needs are. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we show you some of the data that's come out of our collection process in talking to the people who use our services.
Slide, please. Arts we support now, Arts on Bowen, I'm not gonna get into all the detail, every single group that we support, because it's large and it's numerous. You know, we, in the theater, we're supporting a multitude of different performing artists. And then through our work in the gallery, we support other kinds of artists in there as well, not only just painters or sculpturists. There's lots of different events that go in there. We wanted to highlight one event that was unique, where we started, we showed a VR show. I kind of viewed it as like a VR documentary. It was a really unique experience that VR. So how it works?
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Just checking.
you put on it, yeah. They put on a headset, and it's the whole movie was filmed in like around like a 360 in, well, I guess, yeah, 360 degrees, and you're able to experience what it was like to be at this mine in Tuxedo. It was a really thoughtfully done show, and it was really unique and something just showing kind of a new area that we were involved with, a new art form that we were involved with.
Yeah, so at the Hearth Gallery, typically we focus on visual arts. It's what most people expect in a gallery setting. But instead, we offer to expand and stretch our viewers to expect more. Over the years, we have offered art in many of its forms, mediums, and styles. Most recently, we hosted a virtual reality immersive documentary art show, Texada, by local filmmaker Josephine Anderson. I hope some of you were able to come and experience that. Viewers were able to experience a virtual reality of art by using VR headsets, immersing themselves in an animation of geologic upheaval to create an immersive, poetic experience. It was amazing. It was a head-spinning experience because you sat in a chair and you were able to do a 360 spin watching this 360-degree show. The viewers came away with a newfound appreciation of other art forms.
Yeah, particularly it was interesting to see just different kinds of people coming into the theater that we didn't have, into the gallery that we didn't have before. But that was, it was unique from that perspective. Great, move forward, please. Another quote, which you're happy to read. We'll read you those quotes. Move forward, please. And one more, please. Thank you.
So we wanted to include some of our performance indicators for you to let you see how many people are coming to our processes and what they're experiencing when they get there. And these are, of course, the quantitative data that we're sharing here with you over the last year. And this is still an ongoing count. We've had close to 22,000 visitors in our processes. I did a little bit of research looking at other galleries in Vancouver, for instance, and the Bill Reid Gallery, which is a world famous gallery. They get 35,000 visitors a year in comparison. And I think that's really quite remarkable when you think about our little art gallery here. We have worked with 258 artists, and that includes artists who have shown in the gallery, but also in the gift shop. And at present, we have well over 50 artists selling their art in the gift shop. And so people who visit Bowen come to this space and they get to take home art that's been created on Bowen by Bowen artists. And one of the things that the cultural master plan identified as key for artists on the island was that artists were able to make a living here, that we were to support that kind of activity. And you'll see in some following slides how we're doing that. The gift shop is one of those spaces. We hosted 46 events, and when you think about it, we've got one staff person and maybe another half-time person. And we hosted, I don't know if you've ever come to any of the artist shows, the opening shows. They're really wonderful events where the community gets to meet the artists who are exhibiting. And we did 18 of those last year. And in addition, we host all kinds of other events throughout the year, totaling about 46 events we counted last year. And we had 1,543 attendees. These are Bowen residents who came to artist parties and events like the mini art gala at our wonderful gallery. And you know the quality of the events that we put on there. We're striving more and more to elevate the art practice that we engage with. We have a lot of volunteers that work with us. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
We're
go
gonna-
ahead. No, keep talking.
I think it's important that we acknowledge the volunteers on the island who spend their time. I mean, the figures are staggering when you look at it. 83 volunteer hours per year per person. It's remarkable that people are so committed to the process that they would give their time to this enterprise that we're involved with. And so it's really quite wonderful that we can engage Boweners in this way, not just in art production, but also in the hosting process of this. And I want to mention also that our volunteers don't just talk about the art. You'll see that in some of the quotes, visitors to the island speak about how they've gotten directions or they've gotten local sort of information about where to go on Bowen when they're here. And that's another value add that our volunteers bring to the community.
Yeah, one thing I also wanted to add too is I was a bit concerned when we stepped into the theater and what that would mean for our volunteer base and whether we'd be spread thinner than we already kind of felt like we were. And I want to acknowledge that, you know, the volunteers who support our organization and support this community have really stepped up in a bigger way, moving into the theater and volunteering there. It's been you'll see that in our budget. You know, we've grown. We've grown in our revenues. We've grown in our expenses, and you know, that shows that, you know, that means we're doing more. And our volunteers in a lot of ways are a backbone of our organization. Not only, you know, on the board who volunteers a lot of hours, but you know, people coming to take tickets at this new theater, people at the concession. You know, these are real hours that people are putting in, and I just want to acknowledge that. Just very grateful for how our volunteers have really stepped up as we've, you know, grown in the past year. Thank you. Move next slide, please. Again, here's some more quotes that we've been gathering. If we have a lot more than just the ones that we've shown in our presentation here today. If you want to see them more, we have them. We can send them to you. We're also getting more specific about this too as we develop our strategic plan. We are looking for specific feedback as it pertains to the specific work that we're going and the goals that we're setting for ourselves. So it's right now, I feel like it's a bit more general, and the process that Sharon's leading has been fantastic, and we're gearing towards is like really specific, concrete feedback that shows, you know, how we're doing as an organization, how we can continue to evolve and grow and to move forward.
Accessibility is one of those issues that we're looking to get feedback about. Something as simple as putting a statement about a picture or a show on the wall. We hadn't taken into account that there might be people in wheelchairs who might not be able to see those signs if they're at eye level for a person who's standing. And so we're starting to look at how we can make our processes more accessible as well.
Thank you. We can move forward. Thank you.
Supporting other arts organizations. In addition to this list, we provide outreach and communications to advance arts on Bowen, to advocate on behalf of arts and cultural activities, create a deeper community engagement for our residents and visitors to feel a sense of belonging in our art spaces. Some of our partner organizations include our local theater groups, the Bowen Island Arts Tour, which is coming up this weekend, by the way, the BIX After School Program, the Literacy Task Force, the Bowen Island Library, Queen versus Green event, Speak the Spark, Santa's Light Up, which we all love, Right on Bowen Festival, and more. We provide an ongoing promotion of arts events through our weekly newsletter, website, and social media platforms, as well as our outdoor arts bulletin board. Our gallery hosts are informed of upcoming events to share with our gallery visitors. We offer grant writing support and advice and/or applications for funding for our local groups. We also provide our charitable number for those groups that do not have this status.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
I just want to point out that that's a really important value add as well to what we do. And that is that for young artists who are just starting out, we will actually sit with them to help them write their grants if they are looking to put a show on. And that is not something that gets reported on generally. Something I just recently learned about that we were doing. And I think that that's really quite amazing, considering that we say that we support artists through the life cycle of their art practice. And then the lending out of the charitable number also.
Sorry, can I just say something to that?
Yeah.
Something kind of inspired that. I know I went to an art school, and that was something that was really lacking in schools. Like, you learn the practice, but you don't learn the kind of the day-to-day life skills that are required as an artist. And you know, in our society in Canada, like, writing grants is actually a really crucial skill that you need to have in order to be able to show your work and produce work. So, you know, I like this idea of like our organization on a level kind of being a bridge to a professional career, because it's not something that they generally teach you in school. Some schools will, some schools won't. But what we're offering there is like a really practical learning experience for artists to kind of grow and become a better professional artist moving forward. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, just to add to that, so there's a current show at the gallery called Bowen's Own.
Yeah.
It's the first annual emerging artist Bowen Island focused artist show. And we received 20 artists' applications for this show. And myself as the curator, I have supported and guided and provided the tools to these emerging artists to have a show in a gallery, and then perhaps to move on from that to become an artist working with their art. It's a perfect situation where we support the arts. We take an artist from start to finish, and we give them all the tools to grow as an artist. I don't know of many places where an arts organization can provide that for free. We give it, we provide it, we support it. And when an artist is ready to go, we cut those apron strings and we say, go, fly, be an artist, make a living from what you're doing, and love your life. We do that. It feels very satisfying.
It is.
Great. Moving forward, please. And this is a section where we'd like you just to stay on this slide and we can talk about it. So one just point of clarity here. So our fiscal year is end of June to end of June. So when we say fiscal 2025, that's what we mean. We've added our fiscal 2025 projected. And why it's projected here is because we still haven't reached our year end, but obviously we've done a lot of that year already. And we wanted to talk about this year because it's been a massive year for us in terms, and you'll see it in the numbers, in terms of our revenues and expenses have gone up. And we've taken on, a new position with program coordinator, Sam's position. And there's been a few other things that happened around the theater that have really, that we're showing growth in. So it just felt like a really important year to show a projected year of 2026. Some key numbers here, our revenue in 2025, 302,600, and projected for this upcoming end of year at the end of June is $361,000. And our expenses in the previous year were 304,000, and we are projecting to be expenses around 360,000 for the 2026 year. Some key budget takeaways. We managed Arts and Bowen managed this budget very carefully to the bottom line, as you can see how close our revenues and expenses are aligning there. We have core funding covers essential operating expenses like salary, staffs, rent, and IT, which project grants rarely cover. It's a crucial aspect of our budget. It allows us to have some certainty and be able to plan and project things moving forward. We need this kind of organizational stability to reduce staff and volunteer burnout, enable long-term planning, like I just said, and allow us to remain focused on our mission rather than just survival. Some other really important takeaways that I've gleaned here is, we help artists make a living here on Bowen. 57 to 60% of our total sales go directly to artists. It's a really important number. We bring in new arts monies in the form of grants to the community, 68,000 in 2025 and 81,000 in this current year. We've contributed $20,000 in theater lighting that's going to go directly into the space behind us here, and that's for the community. We also have a $100,000 piano solely based on grants, and this piano is a huge asset for the whole community now. It also allows us to, not only does it allow Bowen Island artists to work with a beautiful piece of art that piano is, it also allows us to attract different higher quality artists into that theater. Anything you wanted to add, folks, to that before I move on? Yeah, go ahead.
Acronym trouble here. What is PA for PA grant?
Oh, that's Sam's position.
Okay, program
Programming Arts Coordinator.
arts.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I heard you call her a programming coordinator. I was worried I got it wrong. Okay, thank you.
Great. Great, moving forward. You can skip a bunch of slides, please. Thank you.
So this slide is just a representation of previous slide, just in a
Can you go back one?
spreadsheet
Sorry.
format.
Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
This one.
Yeah.
It's just a representation of the previous slide, but in a spreadsheet format.
Great, thank you. Move forward, please. One more, please. And another one, please. And another one, please. Thank you.
Initiatives. Here is a short list of initiatives from the last year that the board and staff have been working on. There are several committees from the Hearth Board who are focused on three main initiatives: rebranding the organization, programming the Bowen Theatre, and refreshing the organization's strategic and engagement plans. In addition, Arts on Bowen have initiated a Bowen Island Poet Laureate program, the programming of the Spuckwa stage, the Hearth Gallery space here at the community center, the revitalization of the Public Art Advisory Committee, and of course, the celebration of Bowen's beloved Ron Woodall. On top of these, we hosted the Island Discovery Learning Center Weaving Show, the first annual Bowen's Own Emerging Artist Show, and the Queer Art Show partnering with the Bowen Pride Society, which is incidentally the next show coming up after Bowen's Own. These are just a few of the many initiatives we are focused on.
Slide, please. Okay, so we, as you've been hearing, we're engaging in a potential brand redesign for our organization. Over the past 2 years, Arts on Bowen has received some feedback about its name. Some associate the name solely with the gallery, not with the work of the board in its entirety. Some felt that the organization has evolved over time, that a new name might better reflect its current state. Volunteer consultant Gladys, whose principal is a Bowen Islander, overtook a rebranding exercise with the board. They have presented 3 options to date, and the board is considering next steps in the process. It's been a really exciting process. I'm thrilled about it. I feel like it's, there's so much I want to say about it, but we've just got some artwork back. It's going to be.
This is a private venue, you can tell us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't really, my words won't do it justice. They're like, our logo, our website is gonna have a transformation. What's been great about it is this process has been going side by side parallel with our strategic plan. So the 2 things are working simultaneously together, moving forward, so that probably in the fall, we'll have those 2 things will be synchronized perfectly. Or as perfectly as we can make it, so that the engine that is our organization is going to be running really well. You'll see. We'll send some more stuff when we're ready. But I'm really excited about this. What's been generated. And Gladys has donated a bunch of their time. We're very lucky to have them on board.
That's a great name for a communications firm.
Next slide, please.
And so finally, we have just a bit about our strategic planning process. Over the last year, as I've mentioned, we've recognized that the work that we're doing is shifting. We're no longer building venues. We are now in a space of sustaining what has been built. And so we know that we need to redesign what we plan to do over the next years. And so we are looking at 4 different sorts of pillars that were identified through the cultural master plan. They still continue. The same pieces of work are still active within the work that we're doing, and they're straightforward, as you might expect. They're about the programming piece, about the maintenance of the venues that we have. They're about engagement, and about creating a healthy organization, a sustainable organization that will work for us. And our process, we have pretty well outlined what we see as our next steps for the next year. We'll publish the plan when it's finalized. Each of the committees is identifying their priorities at the moment. And so as we move into the next stages, we'll publish that plan so that our membership and all of Bowen can see what it is we plan to do and have input into it. Before I finish, I want to mention that I didn't join the Hearts Board to speak about strategic plans and budgets. And I joined it because I believe in the arts. I believe in the transformative power of the arts, not just the pretty pictures about Bowen, but about the ways that arts can speak to and provoke our thinking and challenge our societies. Artists bring unique ways of thinking about the world. And on Bowen, we happen to be blessed with a huge number of artists. And each of them has a different way of seeing the world. And as human beings, we have the capacity to experience life in one way. But when we share it and somebody else hears it, using a medium that is outside of their particular experience, like virtual reality, it's when we start to recognize that maybe we can be together as a community. Maybe this person, this artist is saying something that means something to me, that makes the difference about why I've chosen to live in this space, in this place. And ultimately, that's what art is about. It's about bringing us together, but also challenging us in the spaces that we live. And so I wouldn't want you to walk away from this process without understanding that we're all committed to art in deep spiritual and transformational ways. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we create a healthy and sustainable organization.
Noted. Yeah, thank you. Great.
Thank you so much. I'll look to council for questions. Over to you, Councillor Morse.
Thank you. It was a great presentation. In looking at doing your strategic planning and reviewing, have you noticed there's any things that need to be changed in the cultural master plan?
Definitely, yeah.
Because that's a bylaw of the municipality, so we
Yeah.
have to change it, not you.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that made sense. I think, what was the year that it was made? Like
Was
7 years ago?
2017.
Yeah, so, obviously a lot's changed since 2017. And so we are noting those things that seem, a lot of it was aspirational too. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, these are all things that we need to happen. So a lot of those things that were achieved and some of them weren't because it just didn't fall for various reasons. So yes, there are things that we're looking at that seem out of date or maybe less relevant than they were in 2017.
But one of the things we can do in a strategic plan is to take bite-sized chunks of those recommendations. And so there's a recommendation for an art school, for example. It's not something that we're able to do, but we can do art educational activities. And so that's how we can address those pieces. So it's perhaps not as much about changing what's in the plan, but recognizing what we have the capacity to do.
Well, most plans are aspirations.
Right.
Thank you.
Councillor Getty.
A lot of the recommendations in the cultural master plan were not only aspirational, but there was a preface at the very beginning in terms of nobody should be expecting the Arts Council to do this. It has to be a partnership. It has to be, something that evolves out of the community. So I think I would never phrase it in terms of the Arts Council has not done something, right? It's like that was, if we were able to maximize our full potential, given everything going for us, the resources, the people, the time, the energy, then this would be the way we'd want to go. So, and a lot of the stuff that was unattainable in 2017, we've managed. We've got a theater, we've got, some other things that were on the wish list. So, I think that figuring out what's left and how to tweak it and, where to put some energy, that is, I'm not sure that it necessarily has changed that drastically. It's like this Bowen has been a strongly arts-based community, and we're really, really lucky in terms of being so close and being far enough away. And some of the other, the arts tour that's coming up this coming weekend, it's like that's a new project that is trying to balance tourism and arts and making the most in terms of having a group effort in all of the and we have to deal with the lineups that go all the way up to the general store with people walk-ons that are trying to leave and things like that. So being part of that as well. So it's figuring out. I would very much like to listen and see and hear more about the strategic planning in terms of where that is going to take us in the next little while and for however long you think that might apply. But
Okay. Yeah.
I think that the everything that you've described is helping to manage it and helping to administer it, making sure that it stays positive. And Sharon, if I may, your last comments in terms of how vital arts are to health of any community, but we're particularly lucky is the whole premise in terms of that cultural master plan and how the realization that I think as much as we love our forests, we also love our artists. And, that's a major part of this community and how it helps us. So, while we get through the rest of 2026 and whatever else is coming down the pike, that, we take full advantage of all the things that do help us stay healthy. So, well, you've got a vital role and, keep it up.
Thank you, Judy. I just wanted to add, thank you for mentioning partnerships. It's, you'll see in our strategic plan when it comes out that engagement is a part of is one of the 4 pillars that we're looking at. And so we want to make sure that we are playing that sort of hub or focal point for arts on the island. We're supporting lots of groups by advertising some of the processes that they're involved in. And we're trying to expand that and understand how we can better engage the arts community here to make sure that we're supporting the work that they're doing. So it's a key pillar in our plan, and I'm really happy that you mentioned it, but we forgot to.
Councillor Jurgensen, followed by Councillor Fast. You there, Councillor Jurgensen?
Audio muting. Yes, thank you very much. And to our presenters from the Hearth, thank you so much for putting together this presentation. I really appreciate the work that you do on behalf of the arts here on Bowen, and definitely want to give you a shout out for starting to look at that accessibility piece. Always happy to be part of that discussion should you need some advice on it, but really glad to see that that's joined the roadmap. Also really excited by the some of the work you guys are doing in the virtual space as well. So looking forward to seeing where that goes. And just wanted to say thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Councillor Fast.
Thank you. Thanks for the great presentation. It's always good to get a good overview.
Unmute audio.
I have a couple of questions. I think the first cultural master plan was way back before we were a municipality, if I'm not mistaken, or those very early years.
2009,
I beg your pardon?
2009, I believe.
I think there might be one before that because I was on the Bowen Island Parks and
Was
Rec
that-
Commission.
I'm remembering something.
Yeah.
In 2005, was that the first one?
Mm.
Well,
I'm
we
gonna look it up.
incorporated in
Yeah.
1999.
Okay.
So I think it was
then.
before then,
Okay.
because there was already a formal arts and gallery sort of plan,
Yes.
cultural master plan. I think it was called that. Anyway, that was back a long time ago. You might enjoy looking at that.
We could find it.
My questions, I'm glad you mentioned engagement and partners, because I saw you had the library, and I'm on the library board, down as an audience type. And so can you maybe tell me a little bit about how the library is seen as, it was in one of your,
They're a stakeholder.
okay,
And so I tend to use those terms interchangeably, but the library is definitely a stakeholder in just in the space that we occupy. We share that space and we work really collaboratively. And also the outdoor space is co-managed with the library. And so they're an important audience for us as well as stakeholder.
okay, thanks. I appreciate the difficulty of cramming all the info into
Yes.
small
Yeah.
graphics. So, and my second question is about I was glad to hear about you helping the young artists writing grants. And is that where the share your charitable number comes in? Because I've been on the board of charities and that hasn't been something that we've done, but maybe you can explain.
Sure. A good example is a show that's coming up in October with Tamara Voth. She's been accepted to have a show, but needed funding. She's just an individual artist that needs help to, it's more of an exhibit than a sellable show. So we took her on as like a partner, I guess, to help her write 2 different grants to try and find funding. We paid for the grant writer because we believed in this initiative and giving her an opportunity to have some funding to pay for the work. That's one example.
Okay.
The other ones are, for instance, with the Community Foundation and BOFest, they've used our charitable number for funding through the foundation for their event. That's another example.
So that all goes through your board?
It's a flow through. It's a flow through. So they use our charitable number. We receive the funding, we give it to them. They write the final report.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Fast. Not seeing any further comments or questions. Thank you very much for being here today and for the work that you do, for the volunteers that you engage, and for the culture and texture that you help weave through the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Returning to our agenda, the next item we have is 4.2, Pauline LaBelle and Chris Corrigan, Knowing Our Place regarding Squamish welcome figure.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm doing it. Okay.
Welcome, Ms. LaBelle.
Thank you. Let me just set up here.
Drink some water.
No, I'm not gonna burn this with you, thanks. I thought we would sort of get up and stretch first, but it doesn't happen. Okay. So, sit here. The rising tide, the falling rain, returns to sing their stories once again. The ocean breeze, the rippling streams, all murmur softly in their golden dreams. And though this island change and grow, and many other voices come and go, I'll walk upon this holy ground and hear the ancient voices in the sound. So, dear Mary Leonard and Council, thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you today. So I decided to start with that song because it's from my musical about Bowen Island that we performed at the Meadow in 2005 and 2006. It was part of my 3-day festival, Voices in the Sound, to celebrate the island. So I sang that song because it was a way to welcome the ancient voices of the Squamish Nation to bear witness to this conversation. I'm here to invite the municipality to be part of a historic moment, a welcome figure for the island, a beautiful gesture of reconciliation with Squamish Nation, a project sponsored by Knowing Our Place, a reconciliation initiative I began in 2017. My reconciliation work began even much earlier. In 2006, I invited Squamish Nation to take part in my Voices in the Sound Festival, and they came. The Squamish Nation seagoing canoe family in their long cedar dugout canoe. That's when I met Alroy Bucky Baker, Squamish counselor, elder, and language teacher, as well as storyteller and elder William Nahaney and his dancers. I didn't know this was reconciliation. No one was using that word in 2006. I just knew it was the right thing to do. Over the years, I've deepened relationship with Squamish Nation, attending their ceremonies, their powwows, learning the culture, and attempting their very difficult language. During my research for Whale in the Door, I hope some of you have read it, about House Sound, my history of House Sound, I interviewed many members of the Squamish Nation. It became clear that we needed to learn our true history with Indigenous people. I approached the Bowen Island Library and the Bowen Island Arts Council. And they said, yes, let's do this. They agreed to support me. And Knowing Our Place was born in 2017. We organized many events, an Indigenous book club, workshops, including the weaving that hangs in the library annex. At the Nuchlelequam sign blessing ceremony in 2020, Squamish Elder Dennis Joseph believed we were building a mighty bridge with that sign, acknowledging our relationship to connect our two cultures. Bucky said, "Good work, Pauline. Now you need a welcome figure." The welcome figure we are proposing enhances and extends that bridge that we built in 2020. So Chris Corrigan, my partner in this project, sends his regrets. He is in France smelling the flowers. He could be here on Bowen smelling the flowers. We have begun gathering a team as many islanders are expressing interest in this project. Erica Olson, who is hosting the Squamish History Book Club at the library, has joined our team, as well as Brenda Morrison, who is well known for her reconciliation and social justice work. We will have a tent at Canada Day Reimagined to explain the project and build support. So what is a welcome figure? Well, welcome figures are part of Coast Salish culture, a standing figure carved in red cedar with arms outstretched. They offer greeting, connection, and hospitality. The example I included in the presentation package was made by Hallockton for a college in Surrey. The Bowen welcome figure will be a little bit different. I asked Hallockton if we could have a grandmother, and his 95-year-old mother will be the model, wearing a red cedar bark dress with fringe. So first thing I did was talk about Squamish Protocol. I included in the package a copy of an email from Bucky, my go-to person in Squamish Protocol. And he said, as far as how do we choose the artist? He said, you choose the artist, you choose the location. The one bit of essential protocol is a beautiful ceremony at the installation of the welcome figure to separate the artist from the carving, so it now belongs to the island. The carver, we have chosen master carver Hallockton. His artwork has received many accolades, and he is highly respected. Even more important are his deep ties with the island. He was part of Building Bridges Through Art, a Knowing Our Place event. He's been invited to the island many times to do ceremony, storytelling, and territorial acknowledgements. His wife Jada worked as a teacher at Bix, and he has brought his family to the island for various events. Adam Taylor, who has been very helpful to our project, gave a yellow cedar plank to Hallockton from his father's workshop, so Hallockton could carve a traditional plank drum for Capilano Little One's school. Adam is hoping that that drum will be used at the unveiling ceremony of the welcome figure in 2027. For all these reasons, Hallockton was the obvious choice. The log search, well, that was complicated, and I had to write an article in the Undercurrent about it, because my big desire was that we could have an island log. And people came forth with trees, standing trees that had been cut down, but the second growth trees and the logs found on Bowen were not suitable. For a variety of reasons, I can talk more about that if you like. So we had to pivot. An old growth log is what would be needed, and it would cost over $15,000. Hallockton has a smaller log, which he will be using. The figure will be 12 feet high and 3 feet wide. The location, well, Chris and I welcome council's advice on the exact location of the community center. Fundraising. We have partnered with a charitable organization that gives tax receipts for donations. We've received $10,000 from First Credit Union, and without any real fundraising effort, have received almost $1,000 in small and large donations from several islanders. We will be applying for a Bowen Island Community Foundation grant in February 2027 for remaining funds needed. Financials. Knowing our place will raise funds for the carving, the ceremony, and gifts to elders. Total cost of carving, $30,000. Once we have $15,000, we will sign a contract with Halaktin, and he will begin work in the fall of this year. The second payment of $15,000 will be given on completion of the carving in late spring 2027. I know this council is supportive of reconciliation. I was thrilled to be asked to organize the blanket exercise for mayor and council and staff almost 2 years ago. That was really a thrill. I'm delighted to see Tess Taylor and others continuing that work. One of my favorite Squamish Nation words is Chen Chen Stawai. Chen Chen Stawai means lifting each other up. That's what I hope the welcome figure will do for the island and for Squamish Nation. Please accept this gift of friendship and reconciliation. Not only does it honor our shared past with the Squamish Nation, it will help shape the future of this island, the kind of community we want to build. Caring, inclusive, welcoming. Thank you for your time and attention. I welcome your comments and questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. LaBelle. I'll look to council for questions or comments. Councilor Fast.
Thank you, Pauline. I knew there was something in the works, because people were asking me about it and I'm going, I don't know. But anyway.
Well, you need to read the undercurrent.
Well, besides the undercurrent, I just wanted to ask you about, you mentioned Bucky Baker is your go-to regarding protocol.
Yeah.
Is there protocol that we need to be aware of? And staff can look this up too, but just while you're here with us, that Bowen Island as an elected group, we should be letting Squamish Nation elected folks know? Or is there any,
No.
I know Bucky is a member of the elected Squamish Nation council. I just don't want there to be any surprises, or is there something that this elected body should do?
Should do? If that would make you feel better, sure. But, you know, they're so grateful. And, you know, I've actually contacted some of them and they are so busy trying to make up for things that happened over so many years. But I think if you want to send a letter to them and saying, we're thrilled that this is happening and we're looking forward to having a ceremony. And yeah, I think, but Bucky is, he's not only a language teacher and a counselor, but he's one of the most well-respected people in Squamish Nation, which is why I go to him. And other people, I've contacted Randy Lewis, who I brought here years ago to talk to the Conservancy, and he thought it was a great idea, so let's just go for it. And I mean, if it would make you feel better, I could even appear before Squamish Nation Council and let them know we're doing this. But they're pretty aware of it, actually.
Thank you. That's all, that's fine. It's not that I need to feel better. It's just,
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that everybody that there's no surprises.
Yeah,
That's-
well,
that's great.
Thanks for that, Sue Ellen. Yeah, and that's something I want to follow up on.
Thank you, Councilor Fast. Other comments, Councilor Morse?
I'm trying to look at the mock-up and I can't get it to open in the link.
Oh, well, so it's, I did kind of a thing here. So now this is the one that Halaktin, so this is the one that Halaktin did for the Surrey College. I don't know if I can bring it over there if you want to look at it.
No, that's fine. I just.
Yeah, and so this is the mock-up he did. And then he also did it, oh, I don't have a picture of that, but he did it, put it like at the front of the community center. But,
Yeah.
and this is what he's working on with, it'll be this grandmother with a cedar bark dress, because that's what they traditionally wore. But, and so you couldn't open it. It
Well,
was,
none of the links are opening on but,
oh,
um,
well,
anyhow,
sorry
I
about
see our Manager of Recreation and Community Services looking to jump in here.
Yeah, through the chair. Just to add to that, I will have some visuals in my presentation
Okay,
to follow that.
all
should
right,
help
great,
with some of
thank you.
that.
Okay, thanks, Jillian.
and then I guess my only other question is the durability.
Okay, so
Yeah, so
it's
is
made
it-
of red cedar because it's the most durable.
Yeah,
And what he does, like I know some of the welcome figures you see are painted. That means more maintenance. Halocton says you do not paint cedar. You just leave it by itself. It weathers naturally and it lasts a lot
yeah,
longer.
I'm just thinking of maintenance that's had to be done on the one that's across the road there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And you know what? I talked to Simon. He put some kind of oil on it. And Halocton said, no, you don't. That's what's so good about cedar is it lasts if you don't touch it. And so that's why he doesn't paint them. Oh, but he will put copper in the eyes. So that'll be the only decoration because eyes for Salish people are very important about presence and belonging and stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Getty.
Thank you, Pauline and Chris and everybody else that's working on this. It is a very exciting opportunity. I've got questions for our Director of Recreation later that in terms of the Public Arts Committee and the funding that's been set aside for them for some time, so 5 years now, I think. But that would be all the future conversations, I would think. In terms of the placement being still debatable or still looking for input, when was it Simon and Shane that put up the statue in front of the library?
Library.
Okay, but in terms of that being municipal property and all of the controversy around who were the artists involved and whether or not it was placed there with everybody's understanding and consent and all of the controversy that happened, that place would theoretically still be available because it's municipal property. Would that not be correct? I'm not sure if you would necessarily have the answer, but would that be a spot that would be considered? It seems to me that a welcoming figure right at the entrance to Snug Cove would be more public than up here at our
Well,
entrance here.
okay, the original idea was to have it right at the water.
Yeah.
And then that would be like the Bowfest field.
Yeah.
And that was the ideal spot because the welcome figure would look right across at the mountains, right across the sisters, Chichiloi, right? It'd be perfect. There's a lot of issues with that because we had to deal with Metro Parks, but also the real thing is you need something big for that, right? This is a smaller piece and it's got to be placed in a way so that the back isn't prominent because it's a smaller piece, it's actually a half a log. The back of it will be flat and it will have a metal piece on it to hold it up and to attach it to the base, right? So, I mean, we could consider that area. And so would municipality decide that, or would the library have their say in that, or what? Who would have their say
Well,
in?
I'm sure that's another point of negotiating, but I just wanted to know if you'd considered it and whether or not it had been discounted for any reason. So if it's open, then I think that's something to explore.
It's open, I mean, I think I can speak for Chris. It's open for both of us and for the others too. It's just that there's things to consider because it will be smaller than the Wyndham. But I don't see why not. I like the idea of the community center because it's kind of, this is kind of the center of who we are. The governance is here and, yeah, but I wouldn't discount that at all.
Yep, thank you.
Councillor Fast.
Just as a member of the library board, the library has those grounds are learning grounds, they're programming areas where they have children's activities and different kinds of things going on. I believe there's you need to go through the library board. Maybe you could convince them they're interested in all these kinds of things too, but I like the idea of the community center as well as the welcoming to coming together and democracy and all that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for speaking to this project. I know we're about to get to the business portion of it, but I think a few words of appreciation, Pauline, for your commitment and love of awareness and process and practice of reconciliation is worth noting. Thank you so much for bringing this project to us, for all the work that you've done on it. I have not heard song in council chambers yet this term, so this is a first. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your attention. Do I have to go now?
Jillian's
Yes,
gonna-
yeah, Jillian will,
You want me to stay though, or go? Oh, I can sit.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Okay.
public meeting.
Okay.
yeah.
You can stay as long as you like.
Oh, sorry, Jillian, I spilled some of my tea on this. Okay. Next.
Now we are on 5.1 under staff reports, collaborative project agreement with Knowing Our Place, community center welcome figure. Over to Jillian Drake, our manager of recreation and community services.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll just bring up my screen. Thank you, Mayor and Council. What I would like to do today with my presentation is building on what Pauline has just shared. And, I'm thankful for the efforts of the Knowing Our Place initiative and where they've brought our community to all over these years. So I'm not looking to repeat what she's been telling you, but really looking at how it fits within our municipal setting and how as staff, we've explored different opportunities to advance the project and exploring what that might look like. Installing a welcome figure on Bowen Island, it strongly supports Council's initiatives on reconciliation and relationship building. And it's important to look at this as a reconciliation initiative, a cultural initiative. It's not necessarily an art initiative, but it's pulling together a lot of the work and values that Knowing Our Place has advanced the island on. Various organizations across the island, including the Hearth and the library, and the municipality, we've all been working on reconciliation initiatives and building our relationships, and this is seen as an important step in that process. Within the Cultural Master Plan, strategic goal number 15 is in support of awareness of First Nations culture, and so that's a strong alignment there as well. As Pauline's been articulating, this is really an initiative that was community driven and really based on the relationships that have been fostered over the years through the Knowing Our Place programming. It builds strongly on these relationships through the different activities that they did with the workshops, the arts. We've heard of the celebration with the Welcome to Nekwekalam sign and what that built. And I think it's a very strong endorsement. I feel that First Nation elders are saying, this is your next step. This is what you need to do. Just to start building some shared visual understanding of the project that we're speaking about. The proposed welcome figure, as Pauline mentioned, stands 12 feet high. I don't actually have the measurement of the one in the visual here, but it's a photo taken from one of the articles that Pauline submitted through the Undercurrent. So this is showing a similar welcome figure in Squamish. And essentially what it would look like. So arms outstretched, welcoming everybody in. But as she mentioned, this is the image that's been proposed for Bowen Island is of a grandmother wearing a woven dress. And as she was mentioning, it is flat on the backside of the figure. Choosing to install this at the community center, it really welcomes everybody into this community hub. We've been noticing, as we've known for the last year, that this facility is more and highly valued and increasingly on a day-to-day basis for what it's offering to community and visitors to the island. So this serves as welcoming everybody into this space. There are a number of considerations to factor in when we choose the exact location for this. There's obviously, there are the engineering requirements that ensure that it is safe, easy to access and durable, and we can maintain it in the way that we need to. Where it's how and where it's seen from various positions is important to consider. We also are aware that there are a few other initiatives underway that we need to, I think it would be sensible, behoove us to think of all these things in one fell swoop. So if we're putting up flagpoles, where are they going? Planter boxes and the electronic notice board, we want them all to work together visually. If there are protocols around the alignment and adjacency of other things, I think we need to be carefully making sure that we're considering all of those factors. Now, what I'm showing you in these two images, the carver that Pauline mentioned provided a maquette, I believe I'm saying that. Maquette, sorry, which is a small carved representation of what the figure will look like. So this is what was brought to the island, and we were able to sort of take a little picture of it and sort of put it in the landscape to look at where it would be. So one of the considerations is it facing Trunk Road? And as you're walking up Bowen Island Trunk Road, so the image on the left is showing it facing the road, seeing everybody that way. Or is it a better alignment to turn it 90 degrees so it's welcoming everybody as they walk up the entranceway into the facility? Now, I will acknowledge limited graphic capacity as I was twisting this. So essentially, we took a picture of it on its side, and I thought, it shows the intention well enough for the purposes of this. We don't need to be super fancy about that. But I think there's a lot of discussion that we would need to undertake in order to really figure out where it fits most appropriately. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there's been considerable time spent with staff looking at our options of how to advance this project. I feel that everybody has been very strongly in support of this conceptually. It's just about how do we move it through our available channels that we have that aligns with our municipal responsibilities, acknowledges tremendous momentum that's brought us to this point and work to date by knowing our place that has brought us to this point. So we feel that a collaborative project service agreement would allow us to work together to take it from the point where it is now and see it through implementation with municipal staff involvement, because it so strongly aligns with strategic initiatives that, we feel that there is a strong role for staff in doing this. As I said, building on that energy involvement that the community has demonstrated, it is a way that we can keep those costs to the municipality lower and clearly articulated through a service agreement process. And it really helps us to grow that partnership that is growing so beautifully already between the community and municipality and the Squamish Nation. And I feel that that partnership has been growing through different aspects of the island. It's community members connecting with community members in the Squamish Nation. It's community members on Bowen connecting with elders. There are various examples of municipal connection with First Nations through various projects that we've been taking on. So this really helps grow all of that. The details of the service agreement, of course, would be worked out in all detail, and we brought back to council for approval. But high level, essentially the knowing our place would continue with their fundraising work that they're already doing. They would fully fund the artist and materials. Granted, very few materials need purchasing at this stage since that log has been secured at no cost. Knowing our place would be taking the lead with that cultural and artistic process, because that's where they are already and they've got us to this point. And at the end, the figure, once the artistic component was all done and it's ready, it would be donated to the municipality, who would have been doing that work to do the engineering studies, get engineered stamp drawings, and be confident in our installation in a secure location. And then the asset is transferred to the municipality, and we assume that long-term responsibility for the asset. And then we would share the process of planning and hosting that ceremonial unveiling with the proper protocols in place and really communicate this to the progress to the community. And as Pauline mentioned, and was in the staff report, there have been a series of articles coming out already. And I think it's a fair assessment that it's very highly well received within the community to date so far. Exploring a couple of alternatives to this, and I've gone into a little more detail in the staff report about the implications of the different alternatives. And I produced this scale to look at a little bit about where we land with different alternatives in terms of municipal involvement and projected, estimated cost to do this. So if we look at it purely from a donation model, where Knowing Our Place is responsible for every aspect of it from now until it being ready to go and past ready to go, but installed on site, that would be one option to do. There would be some policy work to do, be significantly higher cost to Knowing Our Place to do that, and not significantly, bad choice of words perhaps, but there'd be higher level of cost to Knowing Our Place to do that level of work, and would require our involvement anyway, locating the site for that and doing the engineering. A collaborative project puts us, in that place of being involved in this, doing this together. Whereas if we decide that it actually perhaps falls more under an art project concept and we want to reinitiate this as an art initiative, that would look at fully led by the municipality, and the level of engagement by staff in order to implement that is much, much higher, as would the timeline be for implementation. And just to come back to the recommendation that the Committee of the Whole recommend the Council direct staff to draft a collaborative project service agreement in order to move this project forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Drake. I will look to council for questions, comments.
I was going to move the recommendation.
Sure, we can get the recommendation on the floor. I do have some,
Well, if there's questions or comments,
Yeah.
maybe we should get those first.
I will come back to you for first crack at the recommendation. Questions or comments from council? Councilor Getty.
So one of the slides in the presentation from the Arts Council was Public Art Committee fully integrated. And I'm wondering if they, I know that when they worked on other issues around public installations, that they had a pretty detailed and thorough process. And I thought that they came up with all sorts of ideas and answers and questions that were quite insightful and helpful. So longer process, but I thought that their input was good. So has that, I mean, I used to be the council liaison and I haven't heard anything about it at all for, I mean, I don't know how long ago all the committees were disbanded, but has that been integrated? Is that part of the process at all? And I guess the supplementary question is, if a collaborative agreement needs to have a charitable partner, which used to be one of the criteria, I'm not sure, I'm not up to date on that. Is the Arts Council involved in that role as well?
Through the chair. So the public art policy is a policy that is currently underway. It's one of the policies that needs revision right now, but one of the challenges with doing this is identifying and having commitments with our partners about who is implementing various aspects of this public art program. So I know that it is something that is currently under discussion at the Hearth Board, and they're looking at how they might be working to move some of those art initiatives forward. It is definitely an area where we need to work together and identify and make those commitments within that, like what will land to the Hearth, what will be essentially municipal responsibility. So it is a work in progress, to be honest. It's a difficult policy to revise at this stage without having solid commitments from our partners in that. So If this project was to proceed as a public art initiative, 100% we would fall back on those guidelines that are developed through that policy. And there are aspects of that that are being woven into a new donation policy that's under work and other aspects of policy work. So it very much is all best practice that we would want to implement. That is one of the pieces for council to be fully aware of, that if we proceed under a collaborative projects agreement, this project is not necessarily following all the steps that were outlined in a public art project if it's initiated with a primary objective as art. That's not the primary objective of this initiative. So that's one of the key differences within that. And maybe I should just pause because I know that's
Charitable collaboration.
So in terms of the collaborative agreement and a charitable partner, and the Hearth role in that. So I know that right now Knowing Our Place is exploring different options in that area. And as we work through the how we might implement it, some of that impacts what is needed of a charitable partner. So I know they are in discussions with potential partners but it's at their level, they need to discuss it with the board and the treasurer in order to take a position on it. So it is looking quite likely that there is the right charitable partner identified, but BIM does not want to take that position because and if we were to do that and we would be handling the finances of the initiative, then we have to follow our municipal procurement rules. And so this is sort of on a few steps past that in the process already. Yeah.
We tried that with NERP. You don't want to go there.
So this is all the conversations that we've been having internally, trying to figure out the best way to move this amazing initiative forward.
Thank you.
I think our acting CEO had some comments as well.
Thank you through the mayor to the rest of council. Thank you, Ms. Drake, for speaking to that charitable partner piece. The municipality has acted as an agent on behalf of other charitable organizations in the past and taken the donations and written the receipts. I think what's different in this case is that the proponent is bringing forward a project idea that's pretty much already baked, and they're seeking council approval to basically do the installation. So it's to what degree, even within the charitable partner, sorry, not the chair, but the collaborative project model, there's a range of supports that the municipality could contribute to this project. I think that's part of the direction that as staff that we are looking for as well. And perhaps I think the report suggests that it would be quite possible to offer both financial support and in-kind support for the siting and location of the project. Also, it would also be helpful if council would just articulate whether or not they'd like to seek final approval of the conceptual design before it goes forward and is installed. So final siting location, final conceptual agreement that the project is in line with what the expected delivery was, and then provide some support. There could be some engineering support required for a project such as this. So the council's committing to siting and engineering support and location installation. And that is what staff was kind of conceptualizing when bringing this report forward. And we're sort of just looking for a bit of a temperature check to make sure that council's willing to provide that if there's actual financial dollars. We do have the Public Art Fund available. We hadn't included any use of that fund in the budget this year, but we could certainly do a budget amendment and with council's direction to access some of those funds in order to help with any of those costs. So within the collaborative project agreement, I think we would be articulating what the municipal level of support would be. We would probably be populating it with those parameters and bringing that back to council if there's direction to do so.
Councillor Fast.
Just a few comments. I'm in support of the motion as it's written. And I like it coming forward as a collaborative project because it's coming from the grassroots. It's coming from the community, and it's coming through all the connections that have been made through the reconciliation efforts of Pauline, obviously, but the other people who are signing on to be on the group, the Knowing Your Place or group. And I appreciate that. And I think because there's something about a connection and a welcome figure and reconciliation action coming from the community that is more, I think it speaks more and it draws more from the community in terms of than something that I think than a municipal council might make by putting it up. I think it's more community to community connection, and I appreciate that. And I think that's why the collaborative project services agreement was made. It's for when efforts come from the community that want to create something in the public realm on municipal land. Can we assist with that rather than always being a one-way thing? I like the two-way thing, and I think it's a reconciliation effort. I don't see it as public art. I think it's a predominantly reconciliation, and I'm really glad to add it to my list of reconciliation actions that have been happening on Bowen. When I was first elected, I remember someone's counsel that, oh, no, we don't have anything like that here. And I was going, whoa, wait a minute. So anyway, I'm really glad to see it and the progress. Thanks for the suggestion about this motion and for bringing it.
Back to you, Councillor Getty.
I'm wondering if the recommendation needs to be amended to, and I know that we don't have anything on the table yet, but what we're talking about in terms of the municipality being responsible for installation and considering other initiatives, flagpoles and something about a notice board and whatever. I missed the third one, but other initiatives that were going on that we want to have responsibility for, it seems to me. Staff advice in terms of whether or not we should be knowing our place responsible for installation and donation.
We could certainly take out the installation piece, given that that is likely going to have to be overseen by the municipality and Public Works to do that piece. So yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Good idea.
Just some comments from the seat here. Very supportive of this project and the initial costs estimated. I want to echo and appreciate Councillor Fast's comments that this isn't necessarily a public art piece. This is a reconciliation action. The only piece that I would disagree on and maybe look for staff's comments on is I don't necessarily know if the intent of a reconciliation project is to keep costs low. I mean, I think, that was in the presentation. We should certainly be keeping costs reasonable. And I have no problem with taking on, or the municipality taking on, the installation costs of the project. I would also be curious if there's appetite from council to contribute from the public art reserve to the figure itself, as I believe that if it is going to be a community welcome figure, and we are the municipality and the ones who represent the settlers on the island, that there should likely be a financial stake in the figure itself. And that I'd be curious if that could be set up in some exciting way, whether there's donation matching or something like that we could do out of the public art reserve. But it feels important from this seat at least that the municipality isn't shirking the cost of a reconciliation action, that they're contributing equitably to it. Just curious if there's comments about that or how that could be approached. I know that we do have a fair number of funds in the Public Art Reserve that haven't been used that could potentially be allocated towards this.
I believe that we could do that, and my apologies, I did not mean to articulate the objective of it being keeping it low. I
Yeah.
misspoke in that way then. Just trying to compare different processes.
Well, and not necessarily a reflection on staff's comments, but more just to put it out there in the public sphere that sometimes when public art projects come up in front of councils and in front of municipalities, there can be an outcry or assumption that it should be kept low. And I just really wanted to highlight Councillor Fast's comments that this isn't necessarily a public art project. It's an action of reconciliation and should be seen in that lens. So no reflection onto the staff comments. I was just piggybacking on it as a way to make a point. Yeah.
If there is support among council, the recommendation potentially could be amended to read for the donation and include financial support of, say, up to $10,000, which I believe is the amount that has been contributed to date, and that would be a matching contribution from the municipality, perhaps, which would be a significant portion of the artist fee covered
Mhm.
already.
I think that would be well received.
Okay, not seeing any further comments. I'll come back to you, Councillor Morse, for the recommendation.
Well, I guess I was assuming all the issues that are being raised by everybody would normally be dealt with in drafting the collaborative projects agreement, and that's going to come back to council. So at this point, I wasn't considering throwing in anything with respect to money or costs. Because they have talked about a donation. And how much are you planning on this thing costing?
I believe.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, say that again.
Well, how much, what sort of, well, Jillian can answer, what sort of
Mhm.
budget is, or,
Okay, so the actual cost for the carving is 30,000. And I put an extra, wanted to be a little bit more to pay for the ceremony and stuff like that. But the actual cost of the carving is 30,000. And we have 10,000 from the First Credit Union. And they're planning an event on June 14th. It's going to be in the Bowfest field to promote the thing. And so how it's going to work is before Halakton will start the carving, we sign a contract with him, we give him $15,000, and then he starts, and he's busy, he's in demand, so he wouldn't start until the fall. And then when it's completed, we give him another $15,000. And so I'm hoping that'll give us time to,
so your intention at this point is to raise all the funds for it through public donations.
yes, well, we're
And-
also planning to apply, because we've been told by the community foundation, Community Foundation, to apply for the next, we wanted to apply for the February 15th deadline, but we couldn't because we didn't know where the municipality was about it. We were just waiting for a lot of things to make sure the council was going to be okay with it. So a lot of stuff that we were planning to do just had to just wait for a bit. And so then we need the 15,000 by the fall, and then another 15,000 sort of like late spring when he will be finished. And then we're looking at the unveiling is sometime, maybe June 2027. But I forgot to read you something. Can I just read you this? This came from one of the people who donated. This is a young woman on the island who does not have a lot of money. And she donated quite a bit. And I asked her why. And I'm going to actually do an article for the Undercurrent and asking people why they donated. And that'll be the whole thing. But she said, community building is very important to me. I mean, it's really essential for maintaining a community I want to live in. Since I can no longer be actively participating in such projects as I'd like to, I can at least support others doing the work financially as much as I am able. I love not only the idea of a welcome figure to remind us where we are and where we come from, but also the fact that it its, that its creation requires connectivity and engagement from various parts of our community. This coming together is what makes us a strong and resilient community, a community with soul. And that's why people are donating. And some people are donating big money and some people little money, because they really believe it's a building of the community that we want. Did I answer your question, Allison?
Yeah, thank you.
You done with it now?
So at this point, I'm just thinking we just need the committee of the whole, I'm just talking at this point, that the committee of the whole recommend to council that staff be directed to draft a collaborative project services agreement with Knowing Our Place, considering the comments made at the committee of the whole on May 19th for the for a welcoming figure for placement at the Bowen Island Community Center. So I've made it fairly generic and all the details can get worked out in the
Second.
which was what happened with the one for the West Side Playscape. A lot of the details got worked out in the process
Amendment?
of developing the collaborative.
Yeah, let's get the wording of the motion and something seconded first. I'm looking at
Does it have to be seconded if I want to speak to an amendment?
if you'd like to do a formal amendment, you can do it that way, but it technically hasn't hit the floor yet. So if there's
Yes, I
like
know.
subtle changes of wording that you would propose to the mover, we can do that.
If we
at this
can leave
point.
off for placement at a specific place, so I thought that might be another point of discussion. So just the
I like the
creation
idea
of,
of it being placed here at the community center and not the idea of it going down to the library. So I'm not willing to change the motion for that.
Okay. And Councillor Fast, did you have a friendly amendment?
Well, the difference that one of the differences that I'm noting from what's in front of us is that this one directs staff to enter into a collaborative projects agreement.
No, it directs staff to draft a collaborative project.
I guess I'm
agreement.
looking at a different sheet. I'm looking at this sheet.
Mm.
I'm reading the one on the recommendation.
Okay, so this is what I'm asking about clarity. Do we want to just direct staff to enter into a collaborative projects agreement?
No.
And it's gonna come back to us at council. Thank you. I now understand the difference.
So maybe for clarity, just before it gets seconded, I can have the corporate officer read out what we've got.
Okay, that the committee of the whole recommend that council direct staff to draft a collaborative project services agreement with Knowing Our Place, considering comments made at the committee of the whole on May 19th for a welcome figure for placement at the Bowen Island Community Center.
That's, yeah.
A question? This one doesn't include the words donation of a
No.
welcome figure?
The
Okay.
collaborative project agreement would work out who's paying for what.
I'll second that, just to get it on the floor.
Okay.
Councillor Fast.
I'd like to propose an amendment.
Okay.
That at the end, after it says community center, it add the words and include a contribution of $10,000 from the Public Arts Reserve.
Not seeing a seconder, so that amendment doesn't come to the floor.
Can I just speak to that? That's the sort of thing that would come out of the discussion on the collaborative project service agreement if there was money needed. But it would be really nice to have it funded by the community for starters.
And just from this seat here, I'm in favor of the motion as written because I believe that I prefer not to put the cart before the horse in declaring a dollar figure when it seems like there's a configuration of stakeholders involved. So I would rely on staff to go back to the proponents. I'm curious whether there's a conversation to be had with the Community Foundation about what potential amounts for donation are there and whether we might want to match something. I think there's more room for creativity and collaboration on the staff side based on this, but the takeaway from the temperature check is that council supportive. There's a desire to contribute, and let's figure out the best way forward to do that in a way that, you know, really draws on the strengths of our community. Okay, not seeing any further debate. I will call the question. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 That carries unanimously.
Audio now unmuted.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much. Moving back to our agenda, we have the recommendation at 6.1, the amended recommendation to move to a closed meeting. Can I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Getty. Seconded by Councillor Fast. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 And that carries unanimously.
Audio now unmuted.
So how do we turn the microphones off?
Just 1 second.
Bio break?
Yes, we will take